Good morning, everybody. Um, Happy to be in this class with you yet again. I hope you're happy to be here with me as well. Let me share my screen. I mean, we're just wow, there's just five of us here. Wow, wow, that's amazing. Okay. Um, yeah, I guess today's benefits will be only for those of us who are here. Um, Once again, welcome everyone. I'm glad to have you here today. We're about to dive into something that might seem small, but it might even seem ordinary, but it's the very backbone of effective writing. Okay? Now, what we're talking about today is the essential qualities of a paragraph. You see, paragraphs are like the heartbeat of your writing. Every time you write one, you send a pulse through your message. Whenever you write a paragraph, you send a pulse through your message. So when your paragraphs are strong, right, your writing feels alive. So it moves, with confidence, it moves with rhythm, and it moves with clarity. But when your paragraphs, when they're weak, then your message basically flatlines, it dies. So no matter how brilliant your ideas are, they will lose power if your paragraphs cannot carry them. Okay? Now, every speech, every article, every essay, or even your Instagram caption, every one of those things that you've ever loved, they have one thing in common, and it's a paragraph. Do you understand? One paragraph, two paragraphs, three paragraphs, but the fact that those paragraphs, whatever however many they were or they are, they're doing their job, because any effective writing has structure, it has flow, and it has a meaning, right? A writer doesn't just throw words together, right? What they do, or what they were doing when you were reading what it is you were reading that made sense to you, was that they were building something one paragraph at a time. Okay, so today we're going to learn to do the exact same thing. And by the end of this class, I reckon that, or rather, I trust that you will be able to craft paragraphs that are clear, that are powerful, that are persuasive. Okay, so whether you're writing an academic essay, whether you're writing a business proposal, whether you're writing marketing copy, whether you're writing social media content, you know how to make each and every paragraph work for you. And so we're going to break it down together. We're going to practice, one or two things together, and you basically be able to differentiate between a paragraph that exists and one that actually communicates. Okay, so yeah, basically that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, what is a paragraph? Paragraph is not just a random cluster of sentences that are sitting together like strangers on a bus, or one thing. I mean, basically, a paragraph is is one complete focused idea, right? That are developed, that is explained, that is delivered with intention. Okay, with intention. So it's talking about one main idea. every strong paragraph is a little world on its own, if I can use that term, because it begins with a clear thought, and then it expands it with evidence or examples, and then it ends it with like a conclusion, so to speak, some kind of closure, right? Now, your topic sentence is the main dish in in a paragraph. If you're looking at it from the point of view of a well-planned meal, right? So it's the star of the table. It tells your reader exactly what to expect, right? Then your supporting sentences, right? Those ones come like the side dishes, right? They come like the little prawns on the side, and maybe perhaps a little bit of rice on the side, that kind of a thing. That's how that works. Now, your concluding sentence is then the dessert, right? The part that helps you, you know, um, leave a nice aftertaste in your mouth. So basically, that's how a paragraph should work, right? Like a well-planned meal. Now, a good paragraph leaves your reader satisfied, not confused or still hungry for more meaning, for more, understanding. So when your paragraph works, your reader doesn't stumble or wonder that, oh, wait, what was the point of this again, right? They slide through it effortlessly, understanding your message without even having to fight for it. Okay. So as we go on, you need to remember that a paragraph is not just about sentences, it's about sense, right? It has to make sense. It's about taking one idea and giving it a full life on the page. Okay. And that's how your writing will go from being ordinary to being memorable. All right. So every paragraph, no matter how short or simple it is, it rests on four strong pillars. Like a table that has proper legs to stand on. Okay. So um, if you take away one leg from the table, then the table starts to wobble. So it doesn't. That's how essential these four qualities are. Okay, all right. So we have unity, we have coherence, we have adequate development, we have order and emphasis. So we'll break it down one after the other. I'll let you know how unity um, keeps your thoughts focused, how it stops, your paragraph from wandering off to an unrelated territory. Because when a paragraph has unity, then it has loyalty, so to speak. It sticks to, the main idea from start to finish. And I'll talk to you also about coherence. That's where your writing gets its smooth flow. Okay. You have to think of coherence as the glue between your sentences, so to speak. So without it, your ideas they might be good individually, but they don't feel connected. Okay. So it's like having beautiful beads without a string on them. Okay, or to hold them together, as it were. And then we will talk about adequate development. Okay. Now this one is about depth, right? It ensures that your idea is fully cooked, it's not half baked, right? So you give your reader enough explanation, you give them examples, you give them evidence, to make your point both believable and satisfying. So you don't just state an idea, you develop it until it feels complete. And then we'll talk about order and emphasis. Order gives your writing um, different reason and different direction. Um, it gives it sorry, I mean, it gives it a direction, it gives it rhythm, it's what helps to guide your reader from one thought onto the next without confusion, okay? And then when your paragraph has order, it feels intentional, okay? Like, a story with the beginning, with the middle, and with the end. And that's what we'll be talking about. Now, the beauty of it is that these four qualities, they do not work alone, right? they they have to work together hand in hand, okay? They cooperate. When unity, when coherence, when development and order, when they come together, your paragraph sings, you know, like a well-trained choir where every voice knows its part. So over the next few slides, and this is not going to be a long class, we're going to be exploring each one, and then by the time we're done, you'll be able to recognize them in your own writing as well. Just a moment, I need to. Oh, okay, sorry about that. The call was just trying to come in. Yeah. So let's go on. All right. Number one, let's talk about unity. All right. What is unity? Unity means focus, basically. Okay. And focus is everything when it comes to good writing. So if your paragraph tries to talk about too many things at once, it'll feel like it's like noise, like a noisy marketplace, plenty of activity but no direction. Okay, so imagine you're telling a story about your first day at work, for instance. The nervous excitement, the introductions, the smell of new paint in the office, or whatever it is. Then, halfway through, you start describing what you ate for dinner. I mean, how the stew was spicy and the rice was overcooked. you know you've just lost unity. So your reader is thinking, wait, what happened to the office? What, you know that kind of a thing. They just start to wonder, and that's exactly what happens when a paragraph loses its focus. All right. And then unity it means that your paragraph, like I said before, stays loyal to one main idea. It's disciplined, okay? It doesn't chase every thought. It um you know that comes up. It doesn't deviate from that main point that you're talking about. So every sentence inside should connect to the one core message. Basically, like the way spokes are connected in the wheel of a bicycle, as it were. Okay, so the topic sentence, right? That's your compass. That's what we'll call it, because that's what keeps you on track. Now, every other sentence should always point back to it, right? Expanding or illustrating that idea. So if a sentence doesn't connect, it's like it's like a tourist, so to speak, that has wandered into your paragraph without directions. Okay, so it needs to go right. So here's the rule: one paragraph, one idea. Okay, one paragraph, one idea. That's how you make your writing clean, clear, confident. So when your writing has unity, it doesn't just sound good, it actually feels good as well. Okay. So the reader can sense that you know exactly what you're saying and why you're saying it. Okay. So for instance, let's look at this paragraph, right? If you read it carefully, you notice that something doesn't belong in these three sentences that make up one paragraph, as it were. Okay. So we have, I was both nervous. and excited as I walked into my first day. As I walked into the office on my first day. My new colleagues smiled warmly and helped me settle in. The stew I ate for dinner the night before was too spicy and made me sweat. Now, seriously, why are we talking about stew that you had for dinner the day before when you're talking about your first day of work? If you understand what I'm saying. So it just doesn't work. Okay. And we also have another paragraph. And I'd like you to look at this paragraph and tell me which one is the odd one out. And I'll be waiting for you in the comment section. Which is the odd one out? I'm waiting, I'm here. I mean, I know there are just a few of us, but we can answer the question. So we have we have the benefits of reading daily, right? A, reading helps you expand your vocabulary and improve your communication skills. B, many successful people say they read at least one book a month. C, watching football matches can also be entertaining, especially on weekends. Now, I know it's obvious, but I'd just like to have, your participation. So please tell me which is the odd one out. I'm waiting, please. Someone tell me
Okay.
what's the odd one out.
Yes, ma. Thank you. The odd one is C.
Obviously, obviously. Thank you very much for that, Mercy. Thank you. All right. So, and I mean, why is it the odd one out? It's because the C, which is talking about football, has broken unity, right? It has shifted the focus from reading to football. So I decided to use these simple ones just so that I'm able to better illustrate precisely what it is that happens, and then whenever focus is broken from the context of a paragraph. Okay, now let's look at the third one. The third one is why exercise matters. Okay, now the A says regular exercise strengthens your heart and muscles. B says it also reduces stress and helps you sleep better. And then C says I think chocolate cake is the best dessert after a long day. Obviously, without harassing anybody to respond to me, we know that the answer is C. Thank you for that, Mercy, once again. And yes, why is that the odd one out? Obviously, because talking about dessert as opposed to exercise is breaking the unity of the paragraph where the first two are talking about exercise and then the third one is talking about desserts. Okay, all right. So let us proceed. Yeah. Now, coherence is the next thing that we want to talk about. And coherence is all about flow, flow, right? It's what makes your writing glide instead of stumble, okay? So a coherent paragraph feels like a smooth road, which is not something that we have a lot of in Nigeria. But you get it. So there are no potholes, no sudden bumps, right? Your reader shouldn't feel like they're hopping, from one stone to the other. They shouldn't feel like they're traveling on one was one of the worst roads in Lagos. But well, I guess I can't think of it right now, but I guess you understand what it is that I'm talking about. So, you know, they shouldn't have to try to make sense of what you mean. Okay, your sentences are like they're like travelers moving together in the same direction. Okay, so coherence is the traffic rule that keeps them in line so that nobody crashes into anybody else. So when one idea ends, another one begins. There needs to be a bridge. Okay, a bridge that and that connects them, so to speak, and that bridge is called transition. Okay, now transition are small words and phrases that they quietly guide your reader from one idea onto the next. So words like however, words like for instance, words like in addition, words like meanwhile or as a result, you know, those kinds of words, they're the traffic lights for your thoughts. Okay, so they tell the reader when to slow down, when to turn, or when to move forward. And without them, your writing starts to feel jumpy and disorganized. Okay, now a paragraph that is not coherent, is like it's like a WhatsApp chat with bad network. All right, you get the pieces of the message, like when it's breaking down. So you hear the first word and then they miss out on the second word and then you hear the third word. Things like that. You know, and you have to then have to keep guessing. Oh, what's that thing that that person meant, or what are they saying? You're trying to piece the words together, and it gets frustrating, for your reader. And when readers, I mean, when they get frustrated, they lose interest. They stop paying attention. So the goal here is to make your ideas flow naturally. So each sentence should connect logically to the one that is before it, okay, and then smoothly lead to the one that is after it, okay. So when your writing has coherence, your readers won't even notice the transition. They'll just enjoy the journey. All right, they'll just enjoy the journey. So let's look at okay. So let's look at these topics, right? Um, Okay, no, I think I didn't put the topic I wanted in there. Okay, never mind. There's something else that I want you to do, but I'll talk about that later in along the line go as we go ahead. There's an error with my slides. I'm sorry about that. So we should probably just move on to the next yeah, adequate development. Okay, so adequate development is actually the next point of call. I wanted us to do a short exercise, but I didn't arrange that properly in my slide, so we'll just skip that and then go on to the next thing. So, like I said, we'll talk about adequate development. Now, the idea is to not starve the idea. All right. Some paragraphs look fine at first glance. But then when you read them, they feel hollow, like you're eating white rice without stew. Your plate looks full, but something vital is missing. And that's what happens when the paragraph doesn't have adequate development, right? So adequate development basically means giving your main idea enough flesh, like enough flavor, you're fleshing it up well enough, and enough evidence to make it satisfying. Okay, so you don't just state your point, right? You serve it properly. You explain your thoughts, and then you back it up with examples. You give reasons. You use comparisons. Tell a mini story if you must. But each sentence should add weight and meaning to the main idea, not just decorate the page. Okay, so readers are not mind readers. Okay, they assume only, or rather they in fact they don't even make assumptions, because what you're doing is you're serving something to them. So Don't just think that, oh, they already know what you mean. It's your job to take them from, okay, to, I get it, that kind of a thing. So you need to feed their mind until the point is fully digested. A paragraph without adequate development will leave your audience hungry. Okay, so you don't want to do that. You don't want to leave your audience hungry. So at the end of the day, you need to make sure that your paragraph is well developed, because when you have a well developed paragraph, then it leaves them full, satisfied, convinced, and basically ready for the next bite. So yeah, and then we have order, order and emphasis. Okay, order keeps your reader's brain at peace. So when your ideas are arranged properly, your writing, it feels natural, like a well, a properly choreographed dance, so to speak. But then when they're scattered, it feels like, oh, everyone is dancing to a different song, right? So yeah, random thoughts confuse people. So you need to make sure that you have order so that they're calm, they're calm. Okay, the people who are reading, your reader is calm, basically. So you need to look at your paragraph like it's a journey, right? The reader needs to know where to start, what path to take, and um, where the destination lies. Okay, so you, the writer, you're their guide, right? So if you take random turns, your reader will get lost. And there are different ways to organize the paragraph. So you can move from general to specific. That means that you want to start broad and then zoom in with details, or you can do problem to solution. That's at this point you're setting up um, an issue and then you want to explain how it can be solved, or you also want to look at it from the point of view of cause and effects, which means that you show what led to something and then you describe the result. But no matter the pattern, your last sentence is basically your mic drop moment, right? So the final line that seals the deal and lingers in your reader's mind is your last sentence. That's the sentence that makes your point unforgettable. So when you put it all together, you combine all the four: unity, coherence, adequate development, and order, your writing becomes magnetic. Okay, so you guide your reader clearly. You're keeping them engaged, you leave them impressed. Every sentence feels like it belongs. Okay, so every time you get an idea, it connects smoothly, and then every paragraph has the weight and the direction. So a weak paragraph basically ends up being like a broken drum, right? It makes noise, but there's no reason. It has words, but there's no music, right? Meanwhile, a strong paragraph will sing. It will carry rhythm. It will carry flow. It will carry purpose. You know, it invites the reader to stay with you till the very end, nodding in agreement. Maybe even smiling because your thoughts, that you put down on paper or you've written down digitally makes sense, and that's the goal. Not just to write, but to communicate, to make your words work like a team. Each line has to support the next until your message stands firm. So when you write like that, you don't just fill the space. You create impact. You create impact. So, okay, we can do this now. So I wanted us to do something practical before we can use this point, right? So I want you to pick one of these topics below, right? Write a short paragraph about 6 to 8 sentences that shows all the 4 qualities that we learned about today. Okay. Now don't rush it though, because it's not like we're going to do it in class now. I want you to take your time, take it home, write freely first, then read it again with a critical eye, and then you grade yourself, on all those principles that we've explored today, right? And then okay, so what I want you to do, choose just one topic, right? It could be the power of principle, it could be why kindness matters, and it could be how technology affects communication, any of them. All right. And your goal is to show me that you understand, or well, to not show me basically, but show that you understand the 4 essential qualities. So you have to look at it critically when you write. Unity, that one main idea that we talked about, coherence, the smooth flow, adequate development, which is enough examples or explanation, and then order, that's the logical structure and the clear conclusion. As to when you're done, I want you to grade yourself, read your paragraph as if you're me, and then you ask yourself the question, did I stay on one idea? All right, do my sentences, do they connect naturally? Did I give it enough substance? And does it end neatly with impact? Okay, so that's what I want you to do after this class when you're by yourself at home or wherever it is that you will be after now, just to assess yourself to know whether you're doing the right thing, whether you're writing your paragraphs right. Okay, now let's talk about common mistakes. Common mistakes. So we have off-topic sentences, we have weak transitions, we have repetition without purpose, and we have no concluding sentence. Now, these are the usual suspects, right? They sneak quietly into your paragraphs when you're writing in a hurry or when your thoughts are scattered, and you just find that one moment you're explaining your one main idea quite beautifully, and then the next moment you wandered off into another universe, repeating yourself or leading the reader hanging through, hanging just mid thoughts, basically because it's your thoughts that you're writing, down on paper. So yeah, off-topic sentences, for instance, they make your reader wonder, wait, how did we get here? You know, um, and yeah, that's what happens at most of the time. And then the weak transitions make your writing feel bumpy, like we talked about with regards to the potholes, things like that, like a road that's full of potholes. And then repetition without purpose. That one is like you're circling, the same roundabout, you know, time and time again, and then skipping to a conclusion. I'm sorry, skipping the conclusion that leaves your readers unsatisfied is like watching watching a movie that ends before the final scene, if that makes any sense, basically. Anyway, that's what happens. So a good writer isn't just one that never makes mistakes, because I mean everybody makes mistakes, but is one that catches the mistakes before the reader does. Okay. Um, it's like um you're the chef and you're also the food taster, you know. So you cook your paragraph and then you taste it before serving it. You read it out loud, you listen for breaks in flow, missing links, or bland repetition. And at the end of the day, the secret really is awareness. Because when you train your eyes to spot these errors early enough, your writing becomes sharper, it becomes smoother, and becomes far more enjoyable to read. Okay, so yeah, those are the troublemakers, the sneaky things that ruin um a good paragraph, and you might not even notice them at first. Like I said before, maybe you were writing fast or your thoughts were flying in 10 directions, which happens to me quite a lot, and I have to just always bring myself, center myself and bring myself back, things like that. A lot of the time, the thoughts that are in my head are faster than my mouth, you know. And then when these little things, when they creep in, the off-topic sentences, the weak transitions, the unnecessary repetitions, and the missing conclusions, they basically just scatter everything and make your writing almost pointless, sometimes even impossible to read. So, like I said before, don't panic. Just learn to catch them early. You edit, great writers, they read and they reread, right? Like detectives searching for clues that, sometimes something feels off or something like that, basically. So when you find a weak spot, what you want to do is you repair it, all right? You add a transition, you delete that extra line, you close with a strong and final sentence, and you should be all lemonade, as it were. So because writing isn't just about pouring words out, and because it's about building meaning, um, you basically just need to make sure that you're checking to make sure that everything is in order before you give it to someone to read. Okay, so yeah, let's have a recap of what we've done so far, right? A good paragraph has what? It has unity. All right, unity keeps it focused, right? Coherence keeps it smooth. Adequate development keeps it rich, and order makes it neat. Okay, so like I have written here, with unity you have one main idea, which is what keeps it focused. Okay, coherence, allows it to have a smooth flow. Adequate development, makes sure that you have enough detail, and of course, with order and emphasis, there's clear structure. Okay, now you need to master these four. Okay, you need to master these four, because when you do that, your writing becomes irresistible. Okay, so whether it's a speech, whether it's a report, whether it's a story, or even a love letter, right? Every paragraph you write must have rhythm, purpose, and polish. So when your paragraphs have unity, you stay on track. When they have coherence, your reader glides through effortlessly. Okay, and when they show adequate development, your readers are they're seeing your ideas as full-bodied and convincing. Okay, and then there's order, like I said before. When there's order, everything makes sense from the first word to the last. And these are not just writing tools; they're actually thinking tools. Okay, they train your mind to organize thoughts clearly, to build the ideas that connect, and to express yourself with confidence and power. Writing is, after all, structured, thought on paper. So whether you're like crafting an email to your boss in the office, or you're preparing a report, or you're whispering your feelings in a love letter, let's just make sure that you're guided by these four principles, okay? Because when your paragraphs are strong, your voice becomes unforgettable. All right. Um, Remember, your paragraphs are not just a group of sentences, okay? They are the building blocks of influence, right? Each paragraph is a small stage where you direct attention, you shape understanding, and you invite action. So when you write with intention, you do more than just inform, okay? You're you're making, your readers see a picture, you're making them feel an emotion or even take a step. So you need to treat every paragraph like a responsibility. You need to choose your words carefully. You need to give your idea the structure it needs, and you need to close with purpose. Strong paragraphs do the quiet work of persuasion. They help to earn trust. They help to move minds. They help to open doors, basically. So you need to make sure that your writing is as powerful as possible. Okay, don't just write, unless of course you're just writing a WhatsApp message to someone and it's just a chat or something like that. But when you're writing, with intention, this is what you need to do. All right. So yeah, your words, they build worlds one paragraph at a time. Thank you very much for joining me today. Like I said before, this was going to be a very, very short class because we're talking basically about, just one element of what we do here. So yes, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. I hope you learned something useful. Do you have any questions? I'd be happy to answer whatever questions you have this morning. And if there are no questions, then yeah, thank you. Any questions? No. It's an absolute pleasure, Mary. I hope to see you in the next class.
Thank you so much, Ma.
Anyone? All
Um,
right. Thank
let's give
you.
a round of applause for our trainer. Let's appreciate our trainer in the chat box, please. Thank you so much, Ma. It was really nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, now the
Pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. The material for the class will be posted in the group chat along with the recording. So please, let's all endeavor to go through them again. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today, and we hope you really add value for your time.